Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third selection in our mini-series, Rom-Com Redux, revisiting favorite romantic comedies. Tonight's film is Roman Holiday, 1953, an American romantic comedy produced and directed by William Wyler and starring 24-year-old Audrey Hepburn, who won a Best Actress Oscar for her role, and Gregory Peck. This was Hepburn's first role in a major international film, and also her American debut, though she had already appeared in several British and Dutch productions and had just triumphed in her Broadway debut in Gigi. The screenplay was written by Dalton Trumbo from a story he had written earlier, but he did not receive credit for it until 2003, when the DVD was released, because he was blacklisted due to his testimony before the House Un-American Activities Committee. Ian McClellan Hunter fronted for Trumbo so that he could receive his fee. Bernard Voorhouse, who was also blacklisted, worked on the film as an assistant director under a pseudonym. Music for Roman Holiday was provided by the French composer Georges Auric, who also wrote the score for an earlier Audrey Hepburn movie, The Lavender Hill Mob, 1951. Roman Holiday received good reviews. The New York Times said it was a natural, timeless, and amusing yarn with laughs that leave your spirits soaring. Milton Luton of The Hollywood Reporter said the movie proves a charming, laugh-provoking affair that often explodes into hilarity, and that the screenplay sparkles with wit and outrageous humor. He particularly admired how they incorporated the scenes of Rome into the script. However, box office revenue in the US was disappointing, though the film did much better in Britain, where it benefited from the ongoing romance between Princess Margaret and Peter Townsend, and the UK's concurrent fad for Italian culture. Paramount made an agreement with the British government stipulating that they would not mention Princess Margaret's affair in any of the advertising for the movie. Despite the fact that the Italian Ministry of Tourism was initially reluctant to permit Wyler to film in Rome, the movie was shot entirely in the city, using the Cinecittà studios and many sites around town, during the period which came to be known as Hollywood on the Tiber. Some locations easily recognized are the Trevi Fountain, the Spanish Steps, Castel Sant'Angelo, the Mouth of Truth in the Piazza della Verità, the Tiber River, the Piazza di Spagna, and the Piazza Venezia. The sites for Joe's apartment and for the barber shop where Princess Anne gets her hair cut are both authentic. The final scene of the princess's press conference was filmed in the Palazzo Colonna Gallery, and the Palazzo Brancaccio stood in for her ornate Roman bedchamber. Plot summary. Princess Anne, of an unnamed European country, is on a goodwill tour of Europe visiting the city of Rome. Although she performs her duties as a goodwill ambassador impeccably, she's horribly bored and itching to get away from her handlers. What she really wants is to get out on her own and see the city in her own way. She escapes from the royal lackeys, abandoning them by hiding in a departing truck. Thrilled with her freedom and drugged up on sleeping pills, she settles down to sleep it all off. Along comes Joe Bradley, an American reporter sent to Rome to cover her tour. He rescues her, taking her to his charming bachelor digs to recover from her fling. Realizing who this stunning young woman is, he plots to secure an exclusive interview with her. There's just one problem. He doesn't tell the princess who he is. They spend an idyllic day together, speeding around the city on a Vespa motorbike and falling deeply in love with each other. But the time comes when the princess must confront the consequences of her impetuous decision to flee, and she realizes she must return to her duties. Fun facts about the film. Gregory Peck's contract gave him star billing with Hepburn's name, much less prominently displayed. Halfway through the production, Peck told Wyler to give Hepburn equal billing, an extraordinary gesture. Wyler was looking for an anti-Italian actress, one who would be the opposite of the voluptuous Italian women, like Gina Lollobrigida, who were popular at the time. So he actually was delighted to find Hepburn, because she was nothing like the pizza divas. He did not cast her until she did a screen test, which was filmed by his assistant directors. He actually told them to keep filming Hepburn after she completed her chosen formal dialogue, so that they could see how she appeared informally. The footage was so good that along with some film of Hepburn wearing the clothing that had been designed for the princess, and even cutting her own hair, it got her the role. When Gregory Peck arrived in Rome to shoot the film, he was depressed about his imminent divorce. While filming, he met a French woman, Veronique Passani, who became the love of his life. They remained married until he died in 2003. Paramount wanted to shoot the movie in LA, but Wyler insisted on Rome. That meant he had to compromise on an unknown actress and resort to black and white film. There were real Italian nobility in the embassy ball scene who donated their extra salaries to charity. And the reporters at the press conferences at the end of the film were also real. Peck and Hepburn triggered a wave of motorbike sales after they rode their Italian Vespa two-stroke motorbike in the film. When production was over, Paramount presented the newly engaged Hepburn with her entire film wardrobe as a wedding gift, including all the shoes, hats, dresses, and accessories. But she soon broke off her engagement to an English businessman. Roman Holiday was the first American film to be made entirely in Rome. Anne and Joe argue over who wrote the poem that Anne quotes. Arethusa arose from her couch of snows in the Erythraean mountains. Joe is right. It was Percy Bysshe Shelley. Dalton Trumbo himself wrote the other poem that the princess recites while she is drugged on sleeping medication. If I were dead and buried when I heard your voice, beneath the sod, my heart in dust would still rejoice. When Joe puts the princess in a cab, she calls it a taxi, to which he replies, "It's not the super chief." He's referring to the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad train from Chicago to LA, the super chief, which the rail company marketed as the train of the stars. The Secret Service men arrive in an unusual plane, a Breda Zapata 3B308. Only one of these was built for the Italian Air Force, and the project was scrapped shortly after the plane appeared in this movie. Near the beginning of the film, the princess is in bed with a book about Alfred Hitchcock. Although Audrey Hepburn greatly admired Hitchcock, she never made a film with him. The lion's mouth scene reappears in the movie Trumbo from 2015, when Trumbo and his wife are watching Roman Holiday in a local theater. Hepburn was unable to cry for the goodbye scene with Joe. Wyler complained bitterly over the multiple takes this required, which caused her to burst into tears, giving him the emotion he wanted. In the Mouth of Truth scene, Hepburn's reaction was actually genuine. Just before filming, Peck told Wyler he was going to hide his hand up his sleeve, and when Hepburn saw this, she let out a bona fide scream. Things to look for: all the interesting Roman locations, Hepburn's award-winning wardrobe, her book about Hitchcock in the early bedroom scene, the Vespa two-stroke scooter, real Italian nobility at the ball, real journalists at the princess's press conference, the unique Breda Zapata 3B308 aircraft, which carries the royal party, Hepburn's iconic impetuous haircut, the Trumbo and Shelley poems quoted by the princess. Now it's time to view Roman Holiday. Sit back, settle down. Remember, it may take a few minutes for the film to roll. Enjoy.